All right. Well, Katie, thank you for joining us today. So exciting. I think, as I told you, that VetX Solutions does these V casts live every 2 weeks here in the Infiniverse. So right now, out in front of us, there's lots of users outside in the Infiniverse, citizens watching our cast. And I want to say thank you to all of you for coming to this event. We're always excited to interview some of the most innovative people in the VR space, especially around education and what they're doing in XR, VR, and how they are truly shaping the ecosphere that will become our environments tomorrow. So I really appreciate you joining us this morning, Katie.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So,
Glad to
you know,
talk.
to get started with everybody watching, you want to just kind of let them know who you are and the name of your company and maybe just a little bit about it.
Yeah. So my name's Katie Hoolahan. I'm the managing director of VR Healthy. So we provide research solutions for virtual reality games applications to really show the physical and mental health benefits that these applications can have. So all of our research is all based on scientific data that we can conduct ourselves, and we've developed a certification for games and apps that have proven to have benefits through our research.
Now, what do you see as the benefit of, both to the consumer or student and the app provider?
I think there's a lot of anecdotal evidence that goes around the internet, the metaverse, everything nowadays. There's so many claims that, oh yeah, this is great for this, it's great for this, but there's nothing that actually backs that up. There's
Right.
nothing that no people have actually said, okay, I've looked into this scientifically, I've done some research into this. So being able to have that through research behind your game, your app, to say that actually, yes, we have looked into this properly and we can show you our research, show you our certification to show you that
Mhm.
we've done this research. It gives that validation to both the customer and the developer to say, look, we've got something to show you this is great for you.
Yeah, and so tell me a little bit more about the specs of this, and maybe an example of one of your latest exciting companies you're working with to certify.
Yeah, so we started out with a big research project that included 38 different VR games. This is back in 2019, just before
Mhm.
COVID, and we looked into just the general aspects of how like virtual reality can help to lower your perception of exercise and can help with things like mental health, physical health. And then we sort of branched into doing more specific research, looking more in depth into more different VR games. So if
Mhm.
I share my screen of our blog
Sure,
here,
sure.
um, so you can see our blog here. We've got all the different sort of breakdowns of the research that we've done more detail into. One of
Mhm.
the latest ones that we looked into was 11 table tennis.
Mhm.
So we looked into how it can help with physical and mental health and compare it between real life table tennis and see how effective it was at helping sort of relieve anxiety and how it can help with physical health and how it matched up to real life table tennis. So
Mm.
we had 27 participants taking part of all ages, of all different experiences, skill levels, and looked into like anxiety. And we actually showed that playing 11 table tennis relieved all anxiety and stress that was felt before playing.
Mm.
And we found that it was very similar in a lot of ways to real life table tennis. It gave you exactly the same um, physical exertion, and it was very comparable to real life table tennis in that way. And we have got information about what we did in our write ups. We've got our results for who took part, what the heart
Mhm.
rate, like percentage maximum heart rate is, and the details about people's perception of their exertion compared
Mhm.
to their actual exertion. And we looked into sort of people's moods, found it was a significant difference of mood improvement before and after.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got all the feedback and lots of details and lots of data from participants, lots of comments. So all of these comments written down, all the developers get to see these and get to see the feedback and can take this and use it to improve their game. They can use it to highlight the benefits of their game. So all of our research, we get this big write-up at the end that has all the details and everything that we found with references. And you can see this one's written out very much as like a scientific paper format. And
now a couple of questions while I was looking through this here. When I'm thinking about the research and the data that comes from your company, explain a little bit more. So let's say I have a new app and I want to have you take a look at it, certify it, or what have you. Tell me that process.
So it would depend on what you wanted to look at. So let's say you've got an education app that is aiming to teach mathematics or something like that. We can look into how it helps to deal with rational thinking. So we can do a test before playing that will test sort of rational thinking or any particular aspect that you want to look into. We can do that before. We can then get them to play or use the application to play maths for a little bit of time. So say you're playing for 20 minutes, half an hour, and then afterwards we can sort of put them into that test again and see that difference before and after, see if there's any significant differences. So that would just be one option. There's so many different options, different ways to look into this. It could be a longer study looking over more 6 weeks of progression and how that affects. It could be a comparative study using VR versus a non-VR way. So it's all very bespoke projects that are adapted to what the user, what the developer wants to really look at and potentially show.
But I mean, in research, the company may not like the results if they had been saying. So, I mean, you provide a service to the company, and then when you do, then certify and say, this app shows significant health benefits as reported, etc. Is there a badge that the app gets in the store or?
So we've got this VR healthy certification. So for example, if we go onto Audio Trip's Steam page, we can scroll down, and in the certifications we can see this is a certified VR healthy game. And you can put it on your page and you get an actual certificate. I didn't actually get that up. Let me have a quick get up the actual certificate that we can give to you. So for example, you can see here we've got our Racket NX has been certified, and we've got the category that they're certified in. So depending on the benefit that we find, whether that's physical health, mental health, learning, things like that, we can give it a category. For example, this is the cardiovascular exercise, and we've got the intensity. It's a moderate cardiovascular exercise you get from playing Racket NX based on our research.
Do you have a list of those categories by chance?
Not at the moment. So we're still developing our web app. So we will have that on our web app when it is released. So we're developing a website that is going to host all of our VR healthy games. And I've got a sort of little sneak peek. So we've got like a game page, for example. You can go and search through all the VR healthy certified games. We can give you some information about that, what we think it's good at. So it's good for weight loss, cardio, anxiety. You can play it seated or standing or one-handed, and also what we recommend against. So if you've got a shoulder injury, you shouldn't play this, an elbow injury, a wrist injury, and all those sort of risks as well as benefits. And sort of what's the game's about, any recommendations for kind of getting the most out of the game, and where you can buy it, and just a bit of information about that. And
that sounds amazing. I would, I would love to have you look at a lot of the VetX partners if they were interested, and get a few categories that were focused on education. Critical thinking, content retention. I don't know, things that things for education. So I think what you're doing is amazing. It's really important to have that certification out there that somebody's looked at this app besides just the people making it. And I think I think it's really innovative and interesting, and why actually too. I was like, you got to come on board and tell
Yeah.
everybody watching today, you know, a little bit more about it. So
Yeah.
so when I'm thinking about apps, and you said you did 11 in a pilot, is that right?
So we used 38 different games
38.
in
Oh, okay.
an 18-week project. So we had
Okay.
20 participants that came in for an hour a week, once a week for 18 weeks. And they played a different VR game whilst wearing a motion capture suit, heart rate monitor, and they filled out questionnaires about each game.
Wow.
And that was including rate of perceived exertion, so how much they thought they were exerting themselves. And yeah, from that, we basically were able to show that there was a significant difference between your rate of perceived exertion and your actual exertion when in VR due to that. The hypothesis was that it's due to the distraction element of VR, that what you're seeing, what you're hearing, all of these like stimuli from VR is distracting you from that physical workout and that exertion.
Right. Right. Huh. Very interesting. So what were some of the other pieces that you found interesting in that pilot, right? Like what surprised you? What things surprised you?
There are a couple participants that kind of had slight limitations to their movements when we started out. It was just one of the things they noted on the side, and partway through they actually came up to me without any prompting and being like, I feel like I'm moving further in VR than I thought I could. So there was one participant that couldn't extend her elbow properly. It would kind of go halfway and that would be it. And when she mentioned that, I was actually looking at it and I was like, okay, let's go through how far can you extend it, and then put her in boxing game. And she was definitely going further. So that's one of the things that is just amazing, how the mind kind of gives you these limitations for your body sometimes, and being able to kind of disconnect those two things slightly lets you do more than you thought you could.
Now, all your certifications so far, have they all been around physical activity games? Any
No?
certifications around others?
We have done some. We have done a project that looks into like education and how a virtual reality game helped with learning. So this is one that isn't on our blog. So like you mentioned earlier, there's not always going to be the results that you want to show. There's a significant difference.
Right.
And a lot of the times when we get that is there's we give the developers the options of whether they want to release the results or whether they want to keep that as an internal thing for themselves.
That's great. That's great. So you can keep confidential.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So what we had problems with in that research project that didn't get released is we had a lot of people dropping out because it was a long-term study and it was asking a lot of time from people. So we didn't get as much data as we needed to be able to make a significant difference or make a significant conclusion. Sorry, that's what I meant. So that is one of the risks sometimes when we're doing an online study in particular. And that is always the hardest part, I guess, of our research, is getting that participants and keeping them involved and wanting to participate for the whole time. So we offer rewards for participating in our studies if they're sort of a long period of time. Well, generally, most of the time, we offer rewards for participating. So we get those participants staying in our studies. But when we're doing, say, a VR versus a maths lesson that's not necessarily very engaging, and you have to do this maths lesson every week over this like 6, 7, 8 weeks, you're going to get people that aren't just going to want to be involved.
Right. They're going to lose interest.
They're going to get exactly. Yeah.
But I think, over time, especially with the educational apps, you can probably work that into a curriculum, work with a teacher, possibly, that wants to ensure his class stays focused on it, or her class. So
yeah, exactly. So we've kind of learned from the ways to try and keep participants engaged. We're looking at working with like schools and working with other people to help us. That say you've got like a class that's already going to be learning this curriculum, we can use that as our control rather than just finding some people to do some maths throughout the summer holiday.
Right.
And obviously, because we're just a startup, we're trying to work with a lot smaller budgets than we will have in the next sort of coming year or so. So
Yeah.
those are the kind of restrictions that we've had.
And you're basically VR agnostic, right? Like Quest or Pico or HTC,
Yeah,
any app, anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. So we do work with a lot of Quest games because that's obviously one of the most popular platforms. But we've also worked with the HTC Vive and the Pico in the past as well. So there's any headset that's that you're interested in looking into, then we can do that.
And feel free to say no, but can you share any pricing for anybody looking, as far as like a research company, or is that more bespoke about what you need out of the research?
Is there any? Yeah, say that one more time.
So is there any
Can I?
pricing,
Oh,
like if I was a
pricing.
company looking at it thinking, I think I'd like to do that research and certification right now if I was watching, uh, ballpark, or is it better to chat a little bit about the bespoke project?
It's definitely dependent on the project itself. So if you just wanted us to do a really simple case study, look into this one thing, one aspect for maybe like a half-hour thing, then we would start from around £500. And then obviously that increases depending on how many participants, what you want us to look into, how many aspects there are, how long you want them to play the VR game for, whether you want it to just be a one-time thing or if it's a long-term project over, say, 6 weeks. So it varies quite a lot, and it's always that we need to have that conversation. We need to think about what is it you really want to look at, what are your goals, what are your wants for the research, and what are your wants for the project.
That's great. That's great. How many companies so far have been certified by your
So
company?
we have, I'm gonna double check this now because there's been
Roughly.
a lot. We've probably got about 8 to 10, if you if a rough ballpark, that are certified. And we're working on another research project at the moment, and we've got a couple things lined up for more research to certify more.
I hope there's some interest watching this today from everybody out there. And Katie, this will go into your waiting room behind us. Actually, I think it's up there on the balcony through a door with your VR Healthy logo on the front of it, so people can continue to come in here and watch this after today. So I'm pretty excited about that. I kind of want to ask you, if you could tell everybody watching today your message, like mission or message, the one thing you want to get out to them, what is it?
Oh, I think just that research is so important in what is basically an upcoming industry. So VR is out there for the public, and very shortly it's going to be out there in healthcare, in education. It already is in a lot of ways, but it's growing, and research is the key to all of that.
Yeah. I hope you have we interviewed actually twice now Tomer from Checkpoint magazine. He does some really interesting work and articles in interactive. It's an interactive magazine and awesome. Digital, and he is just does some really interesting work with gaming and education, and I think the two of you should have a talk too. That'd be a good one. Maybe maybe we can do a VR cast panel in the future. And bring a teacher on.
Sounds good.
Yeah. All right. Well, I really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for coming on to our VetX VCast. Again, for all of you watching, keep an eye out. We do this every 2 weeks here in the Infiniverse, and it's focused around education. And if you have not visited the education district, which is in now New Alexandria, go over there, check it out. Lots of VR companies, a lot of our partners, a lot of folks that we've interviewed, all have now storefronts over in that district. So please go check it out. And Katie, definitely you should go wander around the education district a little
Yeah,
bit too.
definitely.
So,
Definitely looking forward
well,
to
thank you for
seeing what
your
it's like.
yeah, thank you for your time today, and I'm sure we'll be in touch again. VetX has signed a strategic alliance with VR Healthy. We see a future where all of our educational apps inside of our VetX classroom have been certified for based on the research. So I hope in the future that we can move that direction. So thank you again.
Thanks for having me.
All right, bye everybody.
Take care. Bye.